Well, what's going on, guys? Welcome to Beyond Boundaries Podcast. We got another episode. It's going to be a great episode. I hope y'all are doing well. We got the runner of the account, GHS Football here. That's a very popular account here locally. What y'all don't realize is we actually went to the same high school and now we are at the same college. So this is a unique opportunity for a good show. I'll kind of just let him introduce himself some more.
Yeah, so what's up, guys? You probably know me as GHS Football, but my name is Drew, and yeah, we did go to the same school, same graduating class and everything. Mm-hmm. So I've been talking to this guy for a long time, man. Oh boy, we've seen the same things at North, man.
Yeah, seriously. Yep. So, yeah, like he mentioned, we went to the same school, and we would kind of just text back and forth then. He runs the account where he would drop rankings, and we would do a ton of joking. And then next thing you know, all of a sudden we're at the same school, and then we just kept on keeping up with each other from there, keeping on talking about the channel, and it's been amazing for me personally to see the channel grow, because I remember when it first started, and I was one of like the first 2,000 followers or so. And now it's skyrocketed up. You got 25K plus. So yeah, I just want to hear. I want you to talk to more about them. Is like where that started. So talk about kind of like the journey now, and like what do you get to do with it now? The people you talk to, all that.
Well, so the first thing, the biggest misconception is I get paid. I don't get paid to do this.
Not at all.
I don't get paid to do this at all. So so going back to where it started, it was senior year of high school. Remember COVID year? Mm-hmm. I kind of screwed everything up. But over the previous 3 years, I had always loved ball, right? So I'm looking up teams before we play them, and I'm like, okay, Walton looks like this. Okay, Mill Creek looks like this. And my friends, after a point, they were just like, somebody else is going to want this information. It's not me. I don't care who they have. I just want to know if we're going to win or not. And I'm like, yes, no. Like, put it online. So I never had Instagram before. I never had Snapchat. Really? I wasn't a social media guy. I just kept my life very simple. So I said, summer before COVID year, I was like, let me do it. I'll throw it up. So I started the GHS Football account, my personal account I started, and then I started my GHS one September 1st, 2020. And, I dropped my first ranking. And then from there, I think Milton reposted it. So from there, and it started to grow little by little, tens, hundreds. And over time, you have people like joining on Instagram Live, you have people reaching out being like, what are these predictions? I don't like them, or I like these,
Because the graphics are real professional. It looks they're real done, and they're real thorough, real insightful. So I can definitely see it kind of giving that impression of a real official thing.
Well, that was the goal. I wanted to make it more of like not just like a fun thing. I don't want to have spelling errors and that stuff. Like I wanted it to be at least semi-professional, right? Mm-hmm. So I started it, and it just grew. I kind of underestimated how many people cared about high school ball in the state, because I didn't really know. I was a fan of North. I went to every game, but I didn't really know how much people cared about this and how far they'd be willing to go for their team, right? Yeah. Like small town football, it's different. Like people don't understand that. Like. Thomasville Fitzgerald, like those small games people don't look at. Those are amazing. So it kind of grew my audience. I only focused on like 7A at the time. But then over the years, people were like, you've got to expand to 6A, 5A, 4A. Yep. So give it like a year's time, and then I ended up doing all classifications and kind of just chugging along, doing the same formula over and over, kind of throw some new things here and there. And it's grown now. I think some of the cool things that have come out of it, I'd say, I got to do a couple segments with Born to Compete.
I remember, yeah.
A couple of the Touchdown Club of Atlanta's like luncheons I've been to. And I interned. I don't really work. I interned at Georgia Tech Athletics as well. And I kind of got that job through this account. So I don't get paid directly for it. I don't get sponsorship for all that, But I think what is good is it's opening up other doors in life for me, which I think is probably better than having. It's that age-old question of would you rather have like $1 million now or like $100 every hour, that kind of thing. Yeah. So that's kind of where it's going right now. I just need to see what I'm going to do in the future.
And with that, that was actually a great question of mine I had anyways. It's like, what is kind of the next steps for it? Do you see yourself, because you're nearing the end of your college career, so like, is this something that you take on while you're in your corporate route? Or like, let's say you move from Georgia, do you expand it to that city, or do you stay with Georgia? Like, what are the future plans of the account?
So that's a great question, and it's a difficult one to answer because I started it for fun, and I think I made a promise to myself when it started to get a little big into the thousands. I made a promise to myself that it would always be second to whatever my degree is, whatever I'm doing. So I'm never going to sacrifice my grades, you know, all that, some extracurriculars for that.
Mm-hmm.
And so, for those who don't know, I do biomedical engineering here at Tech. And
extremely hard, dude.
Yeah,
extremely
tell
hard.
me about it, dude. I'm screwed so much for homework tonight. And I'm coming back for an abbreviated master's in neuroengineering next year. So,
Yeesh.
does it line up with high school football? Probably not. But I think as of now, the way it's going to seem is I want to kind of combine the two. And I want to work in the neuroengineering, biomedical engineering realm, but I want to combine sports with it. So ideally, sports science.
Okay,
I think that would be the goal. I know Tech's opening up a new sports science center when they build a new fanning building. And so, you know, hey, if I could work there, shoot, I would do it. I'm open to a lot of things, really. If it's related to sports, I'm open to it.
Yeah, I mean, it's good just to build that brand, like you said. Like, it's helped you with so many more doors, and I'm definitely going to come back to it because I didn't know that you were, that's what your plans were for Master, and I didn't know that you were getting into neuroscience, and I got a ton of questions on that. But I do want to circle back to what you were saying about you didn't realize how much people cared about Georgia football, and just like you said, like the fact that it's 25,000 people following that account, and that's you only focus on Georgia, and you've only been doing the account since 2020. That shows you something alone about like how buzzed up and hyped up Georgia football is. And I mean, you talked about even like the small schools, like the names you mentioned, Thomasville, Fayette, all that. I kind of just want to shed light to the viewers on how serious Georgia football really is, and I'm sure you tap into other places. We all know Texas, Florida, California; those are the main ones that comes up. But really, just let them know about Georgia football. And I'm glad you said more than 7A. Like as a whole, talk about Georgia football.
Well, and I say this, sure, it's biased, but it's also unbiased at the same time. It's the best football in the nation. And the reason for that is I'm not going to say just because the talent per capita or all that stuff. I'm going to say because look at the distribution of teams in the state and the talent. There's no team in this state beside maybe 1A Bowden that's repeating. Who's repeating champions? No one. 4A had a new champion. Like everybody's having a new champion. I think the parity in the state is perfect. You go to a school like New Jersey, or a state like New Jersey, for example, it's dominated by 4 private schools. You go to Cali, it's modern day St. John Bosco, De La Salle, and everybody else, right? You go to Texas, it's the Duncanville, the North Shore, and now North Crowley. But you go to Georgia, any team, we just had a 1A school, Toombs County, beat 5A Rome. So in this state, and Rome's a good team, so in this state, I think anything can happen on any given day. We were there our senior year when Lovejoy beat us. I know that was a bad one. I'll say that.
I won't talk about that.
That was a terrible night.
That was one of a few games that season we dropped.
Oh my god! And it was the first home game I'd ever lost. Our 4 years.
That was Coach Stewart's first loss at home.
Yeah. So anything can happen in the state, and I think combine that with the fact that we've got so much talent coming out of the state, especially in the trenches. You look offensive, defensive line.
Yeah, not many areas have that. Exactly. I think we dominate as far as the trenches and the players that we produce.
And that's what matters at the next level as well.
So
we're producing that. I think when you combine all that, Georgia football is the best. Just being able to see that, of course, I didn't think it was that big. I thought it was just football. But then you get into this and you start making predictions, and man, like I was talking to a guy 3-4 weeks ago on Instagram, and he was like, yeah, every time your predictions come out for every week or year, we print those out. We put it in the weight room.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, it's not that deep, man. He's like, no, it is that deep.
It is that deep.
And I'm like, what? Why are you doing all this? And he's like, because that's how it is.
Yep.
And I said, so how did it work out? Because I knew the team that I predicted, I got the record right. Preseason to end of year. So I was like, well, how did it go when, I think they went 7-3, and I was like, so I picked 7-3, how did it go? He's like, man, we were pissed off. You're not supposed to be getting this right. So I was like, okay, you know what? So it's serious. People say some really whack stuff online about this. They take their football seriously. I'll give them that.
Yeah.
I'll give them that.
And to that point, I remember just throughout the recruiting process, because I'm sure you know, I chose to prefer walk-on here. I had double-digit Division I offers at some smaller, D1 FCS AA schools, and I remember going to them, and it was a coach at a specific school who was trying to recruit me, and I remember just telling him like, I don't know, it just doesn't really seem like FCS football. And I don't mean this disrespectfully. Please don't take this the wrong way, but it seemed kind of on that level of just Georgia talent, and when you really think about like our talent specifically, or our region specifically, because we were in a loaded region. Like I said, we both went to North Gwinnett. I played with some ton of good players. And actually, while we were talking about it, my team did just have 2 college football champs with Jordan Hancock, Kaden McDonald, 2 of my guys, 2 of my close friends. Yeah, they were with Ohio State, and then CJ Uzoma with the Eagles just won a Super Bowl.
He used to play quarterback.
He was a quarterback here, yeah. And then I could really just go on talking about the specifics of players. Like, think about
how Josh Downs.
Bro, Josh Downs.
And Tyler Goodson. And Warren Burrell on the same team.
You haven't even said Barrett Carter.
And Barrett's my God.
Yes, bro. Barrett's about to do big things. Jared Ivey. Like, these are all players that, these aren't players that, I fantasize. These are players I played with and I was on the same roster. And that's just my team. I want to go take it to a step further. You know who was in our region. You had Travis Hunter at College Hill, Caleb Downs at Mill Creek.
Oh, like so many good players.
Dude, just really help the people grasp, like, all these players that y'all see. Like, I guarantee, like, the draft's coming up, we're gonna have a ton of first rounders, like we always do. So just kind of help the media and those outside of Georgia, and talk about Gwinnett specifically too.
Look, I think that's the thing. So I think football in Georgia, there was like a power shift. So back in the old days, you had like the South Georgia. It's Lowndes and Valdosta is kind of where it was, but we're seeing more of a shift with like modernization and suburbs and all that. You're seeing Gwinnett grow, and Gwinnett has like blossomed into this really, really deep hotbed for talent. And it's weird, like as it was. I mean, it's you go to games and every week you're watching Travis Hunter play, you're watching Caleb Downs play, and sometimes you win those games and you're like, how did we just beat a top whatever? And even the players who weren't like 5 stars or whatever, they're players like Parkview had a player named Cody Brown.
Oh, for sure, the running back.
And so like these are guys I looked forward to like watching play. I'm like, every single team we played had someone good. Even Peachtree Ridge had Dorian Morney before he transferred to Carrollton. So it's like
Peachtree Ridge is like top 10 in the country as far as players to play in the NFL.
Exactly. So this is like Gwinnett. It's over time. Gwinnett's just blossomed into this really great region for football. You got Buford. Like Buford is like 5 minutes away from North Gwinnett, and they have stars at every position everywhere.
You seen the new stadium?
I haven't seen it in person yet because I haven't been home that much.
It's wild. It's wild.
Really? Oh
yeah, it's crazy.
I want to go, but I mean the talent. I think Gwinnett, county-wise, there's a case that could be made. Gwinnett has the best talent in a single county in the country.
I think so, and I really I wish I had the numbers or the names to back it up. But just do y'all's research on how stacked Gwinnett County really was, and like you said, it's blossoming. And this is actually a question I didn't think of, but I mean, since you're here, I want to hear your perspective of it, because Gwinnett often gets accused of recruiting. So, and we know that the recruiting is like something that shouldn't happen in college football, but with everything getting so publicized, when money getting more involved, with you just being a complete, very involved but outside viewer. What do you think of recruiting, and do you think it's something that is affecting our game?
Well, I'll be honest. I've said the same thing I've said 4 years ago when I started the account, and I'm going to keep it the same. And I don't mind talking about it as well. I'll be honest. I don't like recruiting, and it's what's happening right now at the high school level. It is. There's a lot of stuff I can't say on camera. It's happening. And it's not just schools in Gwinnett. It's schools all over the state.
Oh, for
you have, I'm not gonna name schools, but there's schools in Middle and South Georgia that are doing it too. And you won't hear about those because they're poaching from small schools, like the 2A, 3As around them. They'll poach from them. In Gwinnett, it's a transfer of everything. You can just build a team. It's pick and choose, right? And so I don't like it because there's a difference between doing it in college and doing it in high school. Now, I have a different perspective because I'm a student as well. So I grew up for me, sports was never like, I didn't go to a lot of sports games when I was younger. It was always education focused, right? So I focused on that. But the thing is, these are high school kids who are transferring schools mid-year, whatever. They still need to this is a high school education. This is the most basic education you can have in life. You gotta have at least a high school education, right? So college, whatever, you transfer to the NFL. A lot of NFL players, you think Cam Ward's gonna have a degree, maybe not. I don't know, but he's gonna be a great player.
Absolutely.
In high school, you need to get that degree, whatever. So you gotta focus on the academic part of this. A lot of people are gonna say athletically I can transfer. You're one injury away from you having no options left in life. So I think it's just better when you play for your hometown team. There are some extenuating circumstances, like say there's a culture change, the coach gets fired because of some administrative issues. I can understand that a little bit, but just if you're gonna transfer, just do it once and leave it. Just pick a school. There's players who have transferred 4 times in 4 years. There was a player who transferred 5 times in 4 years. I don't get it. I really don't. And I think the one thing that's gonna prove or ring true is you can recruit all you want, but that doesn't mean you're guaranteed a state title. There's a lot of teams that recruit heavy. You know who I'm talking about. There's a lot of teams that recruit heavy that just don't win state. That's how it is. And so what you need, I think the best way, and people are going to say throw money at a problem is going to fix it. I don't think so. I think the best way you can do it is to build a good culture and a good foundation. I'll use the Grayson example, right? Sure. Could have Grayson have recruited players? Yes, no. I'm not going to comment on that. But what they did is they have a head coach who's what? Under 30 years old?
Very young,
He's like 20-something?
Yeah.
The culture you have to lose an opening game like that to Collins Hill, and then listen to what everybody's saying, play 3 games in 7 days because of the hurricane, and go and win state over a Carrollton team with Julian Lewis and a bunch of other 4-stars.
Yeah.
That takes culture, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sure, it might not be the most organic culture, but it's still a culture.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the instead of recruiting, just build a culture. When you play for each other, things will happen. We see that at Tech, right? We don't have the resources that Georgia has, right? We don't have all that. But we can still compete with I think we can compete with anybody in the country. We beat Miami, right? We can compete with anybody in the country because of the culture we have. Because of the culture we have. And I think you can attest to that as a player.
Oh, for sure. And I definitely want to get into Georgia Tech more specifically later, but I'm glad you brought up that point about the culture and just everything and use Grayson as an example specifically because Grayson is another Gwinnett school. And this is something that I want to speak on. I'm interested to get your insight on as well. But I think that one of the reasons that Gwinnett is so talented at football and one of the reasons that we continue to have players, because one thing that I want to point out is I think Gwinnett does an extremely good job of not only having these star players, but these players actually turning into stars at the next level. And then, specifically North Gwinnett on the next level. Like every time we have a 4 or 5 star, you're seeing them. Seeing them in the NFL and everything. And I think that is something that is huge. And are you familiar with GFL, Gwinnett Football League?
Yeah.
Yeah, the youth league going up.
Start him young.
I seriously think, and this one is a special shout out to all my viewers who, were followed up with the GFL. I seriously think that the GFL is heavily responsible for that culture of just, good football. And I think Gwinnett players have always been able to withstand stuff and, just the competition. We've been competing at the highest level since kids. So do you have anything to say on that?
Well, yeah. And I think that's the way it should work, period. Everywhere across the state. If you know you want your kid to play football, if you know you want to play football, you got to start them in these groups. Build that class when they're young, right? When they're 6th graders and they're playing middle school football, right? It doesn't matter where in the state. It could be Gwinnett. It could be Camden. I don't care. Just you got to start them young and kind of build that foundation, build that camaraderie at a young age. Because if that 6th grade team forms a great bond, it's going to be good in the 7th grade, in the 8th grade, in the 9th grade, in the 10th grade. I think Milton does some of that as well. And, Milton's won state, but I think a lot of their success.
They got 2, don't they?
Well, they have 2. Yeah. They just won this one.
Yeah.
But their feeder program or coming up, those teams win because they don't recruit in 8th grade because you can move wherever you want. You're in middle school. But what they can do is they stick together and then they climb up the ranks together. So I think that's better than plug and play. Sure, you're gonna have schools that just want to fill holes or fill gaps, but you want to come up together. That's sorry to go back to college a little bit, but I'm an Ohio State fan, all right? I should probably check the score of the OSU-Michigan basketball game right now. But, people talk about Ohio State spent $20 million on their roster. They only brought in 3 to 4 players this year. It was Will Howard, it was Quinshawn Judkins, and it was a couple of guys on defense, right? But the rest of that team is experience. They've been there for 2 to 4 years. That's what helped later on when Jim Knowles was calling plays on defense. Those players were smart enough. Jack Sawyer's an Ohio kid, right? So you can translate those same concepts to the high school level. If you have players that grow up, sure, you could supplement maybe 1 or 2 here and there at key positions, but you gotta start them young, and when you bring that all up together, you're gonna have a great Mill Creek. That's what Mill Creek did.
Seriously.
Mill Creek, all the Caleb Downs, everybody started there.
They've been playing together for a minute.
And it worked out, and it rose. They trusted the process each year, and they got to the top, and nobody could touch them. They rolled through everybody.
Seriously.
I think you got to start it. I love youth league football. Sure, safety concerns, I completely understand. There's a way to make the game safer, but you got to foster that sense of community young, so that when it gets to the high school level, you're already ready to compete with the best of the best. That's where I sit on that.
And yeah, I really do like that. And it was perfect transition where you said, the safety concern, or there are ways to make it safer. Because I didn't know that you were, some in that field. I like to tell people all the time that I have a neuroscience major off YouTube University. You know what I'm saying? I've watched a ton of Andrew Huberman, even just people like psychiatrists like Anna Lipke, all that. I do tons of just research like that, and that is one of the concerns that I do have with football, because I was a player and I saw some big hits in practice. I saw some big hits at game. I've been playing since I was 6 years old, so what I'm saying, I understand that there are a ton of risks that come with that. What do you have to say? You know, being such a fan of football, and you know, having somebody who's done research and done the study behind it. You know, what are some of your findings? Because I do want to shed more light on it.
Well, so I'll start by saying this. This is not going to happen, but I did actually. Oddly enough, the way to make football the safest is to take out helmets. That's oddly the funniest thing, because if you take off the weapon of helmet, everybody is forced to stay away from hitting from the head. But that's not going to happen. Yeah. We're not rugby. We're going to play football with helmets.
Seriously.
I think probably football's an inherently dangerous game, so there's nothing you can really do to eliminate concussions. They're going to happen. What you need to do is limit repeated concussions. And a lot of people are going to say like, oh, concussion is only when you hit your head. It's not. There's a lot of neck injuries that can lead to concussions. The snapping of the neck is often one of the common reasons for a concussion. At least your brain banging in the side of your skull. So I think guardian caps are a good start for that.
Do you think we should mandate them?
That's the thing. I don't want to mandate them. If players want to use them, feel free. It's your safety.
For sure.
I don't want to mandate them, because if there are players who can play with really good technique and can get their head outside, can get their head out on a tackle, go ahead. I remember at Tech when we played Georgia State this year, there was a 3rd and goal run that on Georgia State's first drive. They have the 3rd and goal run, and he finds a hole to the outside. Amari Harvey lays into him. And it's the perfect hit because he leads with the shoulder. He gets his head out of the way. Nobody's hurt on that play. Yep. There's no injury on that play because the Georgia State running back gets hit in the shoulder. Amari leads with his shoulder. Textbook hit. It stops him. It was a 1-yard run, and he stopped him on the 1. So if you can get all this down perfectly, technique down perfectly, then there's no need to wear a guardian cap. I do think O-linemen should wear it a little bit more because
that's every play.
Exactly, that's every play. You can't avoid it.
Yeah,
you're gonna have to collide heads. So certain positions probably need it more, but football's an inherently dangerous game. And I think when you have to really think, if you're a parent or even a kid, kids should have awareness for this as well. But even as parents, you need to think: are you willing to put your kid's health on the line for this?
Seriously.
Would I let my kid play football? Probably not, because I have safety concerns with it. That's just how it is. So.
And that's
two sides to this.
And that's my whole thing is like I've never wanted to tell anybody to not play football. And personally, like I said, I have become more aware here recently. And I think it's something, and I talked about this on the first episode, but I think it's something that is kind of undervalued and underspoken about. Like we don't like we do like temporary concussion protocol things and like that, but I think they're very brief and they don't really bring up the true realities of football. And like you were saying, like. I don't know. I just think that I think there should be more informant. I actually don't know what tackle you're talking about, but I mean, I could imagine, and like you said, I feel like stuff like that should be increased more. But the fans are having all these problems with, it's less exciting. So another thing that I want to talk about is like the kickoff rule in the NFL. Do you see us going to a sport or going to a point where like more things like that are coming to be more healthier and make football more safe? Or like, do you have an opinion on that?
So it's interesting. Obviously, watching the kickoffs, as a viewer, I hate it because it just doesn't look like football. You're used to these amazing shots of everybody running as the ball is kicked, and now you just have a guy standing back there kicking. It's odd, but it's two sides to this, right? I'm a fan of the game. First and foremost, I'm a fan of the game, so I want to see the normal kickoff. The thing is, I also acknowledge the high-speed collisions that are really happening. There used to be wedges. You used to be able to wedge, and that was a huge safety issue. They got rid of that. I think what you're going to start to see in the game overall is you're going to start to see a little bit more restrictions on things. They started with the hip drop tackle. It wasn't really enforced this year, but you're going to start to see that. I think targeting is probably the biggest one, and it's really ticky-tacky with the way targeting is. But you're gonna see more specific instances of that. But you have to be careful. I think again, from a fan, I'm gonna 100% acknowledge the safety side. But the other side of this is, as a referee, you have to know if a player is doing it on purpose or an accident. I'm not gonna kick a player out of the game if he's done it on accident. There's a lot of instances of that. So it's a really fine line to walk. I think the one thing I'll just say is football is an inherently dangerous game. If you sign up to play, you have to know the risk. You have to know what you're getting into later in life.
Absolutely.
To add on, actually, cool segue into this. So I've actually done a little bit of concussion research. One of the courses at Tech. I had to design a new helmet / neck pad or anything that could help limit brain mobility in the head after as a player's being hit. And so the point I'm getting to here is that players being involved in this and taking it seriously is also what matters. The reason I say this is because of that, I was able to interview Clayton Powell-Lee, one of our one of your teammates.
For sure.
And Clayton was very open with his. We interviewed him. He showed us how he leads with his shoulder. He showed everything he taught, everything he was taught. So we designed a helmet, and we actually showed it to him. It was a Fusion 360, online thing. And we showed it to him, and he said this would be great if you could make it. We'd be really happy to use it. So I think it's important that the players are aware, and that's kind of an example of these players being aware of the risks of football, and what they're willing to do to make the game safer for themselves.
Good. I just hope that more players get involved. Like think about all the publicity and notoriety that somebody like Saquon Barkley got this year. He is, I think, as a running back, he is somebody who's really in danger. I just think if he were promoting it more, like got Fonzie joining the episode, but yeah, I think if somebody like him, just putting more awareness, because that's all, like you said, it's an inherently dangerous sport, but if we could just shed more light or put more eyes on it and make more people aware of the dangers of the sport, I think it would be a lot better and people would take care of themselves better. And I'm interested to see, what the science piece does for it and the different improvements and everything. But I mean, it's enough of that. We're getting close to wrapping up. But I mean, you talked a lot about college football. I know you're also a Georgia Tech fan.
Oh, yeah.
So I wanted to do something and have the unique opportunity and allow yourself, what questions do you have for somebody who, I'm not on the team anymore. But I mean, first I want to hear, are you excited for this year? Are you excited for the opener against Colorado and things like that? And this is your chance to ask the camera, me a question.
Ooh, that's tough. First I'll talk about, Tech football. So for people who don't know, I'm in marching band at Tech, and I was marching band at North Gwinnett as well. So I've done I've done 8 years of band, and next year I'm going to be a photographer, them doing stuff like that. So I'll still be around the game. But yeah, trust me, I might not be on the team, I'm not, but trust me, if it's close to Tech football, there's probably a good chance I know about it. So I think so. About last year, I think it was good. There was a lot of injuries we had to deal with. The Miami game was amazing. I think what the coaches, Brent Key is phenomenal coach. I will stand on this that he's a top 10 coach in the country, and it's not even close. It's not even close to me. Just the way they slowed the game down made the Miami offense, if you play to their strength, I think this is the biggest thing about the Miami game that people don't know is that how did Tech hold them to 23? I don't think we did that much special. I think what happened was every team would just take a shot deep and score, and Miami would be like, we can just do the same thing.
Yep.
But when you have a 15-play drive on offense, they can't score in one play, because if they do, their defense right back on the field, and that means that gives the control back to us, right? So I think that's what decided that game. Florida State in Ireland, I went to that. That was awesome. And then the game in Athens, that's probably one of the worst nights of my life, and I'm not going to get into that.
We don't like to talk about it.
But next year, I'm very excited. I can see something like 9-3, 10-2.
Yeah, seriously, I think
have
it's
high hopes
serious
for this
potential.
team because when you have, I think Haynes King grew a lot as a passer this year. Unfortunate injuries, but I think he grew a lot as a passer. We know his abilities running. If Jamal can just stay healthy, which I think he will be able to, that's thunder lightning you're gonna have to deal with. We've got some good transfers to back him up at running back or to complement him. Receivers. Malik, you gotta love Malik.
Yeah,
you gotta love Malik.
Sure.
I don't know how you tackle this guy. This guy's so shit. And then on defense, another Gwinnett product, Kyle Eford.
Yes, sir.
Jamal went to Grayson.
Yes,
Kyle Eford went to Decula. Yeah, so a couple of. I like that he's building in state. So I have high hopes. I'm gonna say 9-3 or 10-2.
I see it too. I see it for sure.
Colorado, it's a good way to open the year. Either Julian Lewis or Caden Stalter are gonna start for the Buffs. But I think that's a game we can win. Usually, you should ask my friends. Usually, I'm really pessimistic, but I
know because of North Gwinnett.
Exactly, So I'll be more positive. I think that's the game we can win. The Clemson one's going to decide. I think Clemson one's going to decide how the rest of the season kind of goes. If we can win that game, I think we're in a great position to finish the year 10-2. You're going to have a lot of trap games though. Coming off, or right before a bye at NC State is going to be a trap. At Boston College is a trap because of the scheme they run defensively, very man-heavy. We played them a couple years ago here. Again, man-heavy team. If you're not locked in for those type of games, those are easy traps, especially on the road. So I'm worried about the trap games. You have Syracuse now. The game I'm looking forward to the most is actually Syracuse.
Really?
Yeah, because
we got to get our get back.
Look, I know. There's a few Syracuse commits who's going to be watching this, but I don't mind saying this. Fran Brown said some stuff. Yep. He's going to pay for it. You don't get away with that. That really pissed me off. Yeah. Yeah, he's not going to take a shower after that game. I promise you that. And then the Georgia game in the Benz. That one, not much to say about it. I know this rivalry is back. Mm-hmm. I know every fan feels that way, and we're gonna get another classic.
It's interesting they chose to put it at the Benz instead of Bobby Dodd
this
year.
Well, you know why it was, right?
It's the cold contract thing with Mercedes?
No, it was no. Well, not only that is because this is the part I don't like about it, but it was $10 million more if we moved it, and Matt said let's move it. So I was like, okay. Some things I don't think you touch. Like I don't think the Georgia game you touch. I think that you leave that at home and home. I don't think you move to a neutral, but. Look, man, I don't make the decisions, so I won't go into that.
Okay, well, yeah, I'm very optimistic about Georgia Tech as well. I really think
I'm gonna think of questions while you're talking.
Yeah, I really like the standard that Coach Key said. Like, I really think that we have built a good foundation, a good culture, like you were saying. I mean, it's like everybody who comes in kind of knows the deal. We kind of rid it out and eliminated that whole 3-9 culture because I remember that year, like because we didn't go 3-9, we went 5-7 my first year, but I remember just like the first few losses, it was kind of a feeling of, we're used to losing, like not much, but now like when we lose, even though we still lost a good bit this year, like every loss was like, we're mad about that, it was a different intensity and everything. So, the culture is good. I think this is the most talent that Georgia Tech has had in a minute. Our recruiting class was loaded and it's continuing to be loaded. So I'm excited to see how it goes. I'm excited to go to a game as a fan this year too. So that's going to be a good one. But I mean, it seems like you got some good questions.
I got two off the top of my head. I'll probably think of more in a second. But first one, you were there. I think we were all at Tech when the coaching change happened for Collins.
For sure.
From our side, I'll say it was night and day. I think the minute we saw that Pitt game, all of us were bought in. Mm-hmm. I think I'll be honest, I don't know, like, you talk about getting used to losing, right? When I came in, it was just like every game you would just show up for band and we'd just be like, oh yeah, we're just going to lose by 50. you can play your instrument, just, it's not all that.
Okay.
But the minute it mirrors a lot of what goes on in the program, but the minute that changed, everybody was bought in. I was the football guy, the football knowledge guy,
Yeah, for sure.
And the minute that change happened, it was like I'm getting like 15, 20 texts a day asking me about Tech, and I'm just like, something's different. People wanted to learn. People were invested in this team, and you just saw it grow. And I think we all knew, like with all of us, the minute the season ended, we all wanted to keep. We all wanted to keep, and I think we saw the reaction as well. So my question to you is, kind of describe how it was. Moving from that, like, how was a transition? Like, it's not often a coach gets fired mid-season. Yeah. What changes, or what happens in the locker room?
Okay, no, for sure. And I don't know. Obviously, I've done a bunch of videos, but I think the one thing that really changed was that year because we had lost Coach Collins. We felt like that was like the most adversity like we would face. You know what I'm saying? It's like it's not much more that goes on from here. So it's like. Every other game from there on, it was just like, just play, let's just play like this. We have nothing to lose. We're playing for ourselves. Like if things don't go well this year, who knows about Coach Key? Like, and that's the thing. We wanted to keep Coach Key, so that was kind of like the better we played, we knew the higher the chances were for Coach Key to stay. So I honestly think it was just I think that just that freedom of finally. Not caring about the media, like we didn't have nothing to lose. Honestly, we were just going out there, like you said, that away game at Pitt, and then I think we lost the next game, and then we followed it by a UNC away game.
That was a good one.
Yeah, and it was nice because like we always knew that we were a good team. You said that we could play with anybody.
We knew it too. We knew there was unlocked potential within these guys.
I mean, because you look at the talent, like every time somebody transfers from our school, they end up
getting Jameer. We had Jameer Gibbs and Jordan Mason in the same backfield.
Yeah, so like we always knew the talent was there. We always knew we were capable. I think it was just finally piecing it together. And Coach Key took advantage of the opportunity to really put the talent together. So that's how it was. And I mean. I feel I can't talk too much about specific coaching things, but I just think it was just we were tired of losing football and we saw it as an opportunity to come together and make a change about it.
We talked about the UNC game, and for those who don't know, it was Tech at number 13 UNC with Drake May and Josh Downs.
Yep.
And Josh Downs drops the game-winning touchdown pass.
Yep.
What were the feelings behind that? Were you happy you dropped it, but you felt bad for the person? Like, how was it? Or were you just like, yeah, man, you know what?
Okay.
We don't because I'll tell you how I felt in a second.
No, for sure. So, Josh is actually my guy because what people don't realize is Josh and Caleb both were Peachtree Ridge kids growing up, and I was also a Peachtree Ridge kid growing up. So I've known Josh for a while. So obviously, I've been cheering him on, supporting him, his success forever. So I knew he's a phenomenal receiver because I think even that year he was kind of underrated. Like he was like an up and coming star. And like I remember telling all my friends or even my teammates, I'm like, y'all better watch out for him.
He's good. Yeah, he's sneaky,
bro. Everybody knows he's a great player and everything. So when he dropped that pad, first of all, I was super nervous because I remember watching that play and I'm watching him. I'm watching him run the route.
He was lined up in the backfield in the running back spot. And he ran a little corner.
And he's like,
he was on the miles.
And he was wide open.
Oh my God, he's open.
I'm like, man. And then you see him drop the pass, and of course, I'm naturally going to be happy because we just beat them away, like you said, Drake May and him. Like it was our second year at the time. It was the second year of beating them out of 4 now. So we wanted to really keep that being a thing. But obviously, man, that's my guy. So seeing him drop that pass, I mean, it did. You feel some type of way, but of course, I was more glad to get the dub.
I think it was the same feeling too, because I've never seen him drop a pass in my life.
Seriously,
that was the only time I've seen him drop. In the 4 or 5 years I've watched him, that's the one time he dropped a pass.
It was very shocking because Josh was always a sure-handed guy, and not only was he sure-handed, Josh was very clutch. In the big moments, at North Gwinnett, at the big moments, you knew you could go to 11, and so that's why I was watching him that whole play and just seeing him wide open and. Like I honestly thought the game was I thought the game was over, and then you look up and we're cheering and everything. You're like, okay, wow.
Yeah, it was. That's gonna say. So all my friends were like, making fun of him online, like, hey, Josh, you dropped the ball. But I'm like, that's the guy I went to high school with. Like you knew this kid was gonna be special. I feel bad for him because he's one of our guys. But it's man, like I wanted you to catch that for your own sake, but not for me, bro. I want that win. Just me, nah. And then, 2023, we beat him again. He didn't play, but we beat UNC again.
Yep.
Field storming. Talk about that.
Oh, the first.
Were you on the field? Did you get part of that?
So I was on the field. I was on the sideline. And was that was a homecoming, wasn't it?
It is. Brent Key is 7-0 on homecoming.
Yeah, that's wild. That's wild. No, so that was a. Just you asking that question brought up so many memories because that game was a shootout. So I remember obviously we go into every game thinking we're gonna win.
Correct.
We have it, and that's I should have mentioned this earlier, but that's a big thing that Coach Key has. He's instilled a quiet confidence, and every time that we play a game, none of us are thinking we're gonna lose ever. Good. So obviously we thought we were gonna win that game. But it's just like as the time trickled down after, so it was a crazy season, and then you get to that point because it was a very interesting game. And was that the game Amari had a special play? I think the fumble, or is that Duke?
No. So that was this year. Amari had a pick, but I think it was either KJ Wallace or Amari Harvey that laid the boom on.
Yeah, it was Amari. It was a fumble. Yeah.
Oh my God,
dude. So
I was so bad at first, and then I became because it was a big completion. So yeah, because I was big time pissed off because it was 3rd and 17, and for me, I'm a big blitz on 3rd and 17 kind of guy because it worked. I mean, you see Cam Ward, what happened is 4th and 16. You blitz him, the receivers don't have time to get open.
Seriously.
So we brought 3, and I'm just sitting there. I'm like, oh my God, you brought 3 on Drake May? What are you doing? And it's complete. And I'm like, you got to be joking.
And then
he gets blindside popped, fumble. I was like,
no, that was the crazy. Like that play specifically was. I remember that was just the craziest thing on the side. Like everybody just goes crazy. Energy was wild. And then I think it was at that point where we're all like, we're storming the field. We gotta storm the field. Was it overtime?
No. It was 46-42.
Okay, yeah. So once the clock finally hit 0 and everybody storming the field, it definitely is one of those crazy experiences that I'm so glad that I was actually a part of and actually get to feel. Because it don't, you see it on TV and you're like, wow, that's crazy. It hits way different than you hear.
It was the first time too the first time since 2015 when we beat Florida State on the block kick 6 that we stormed the field. So from our we're not allowed to storm the field because we're in band. You got to play while people are on the field, right? Yeah. But it's a different experience. Nobody had undergone this. Nobody's here the last time. So what's happening is you see people start lining up. I'm on the aisle. I'm always on the aisle because I need more space to jump and yell. Yeah. So I'm always on the aisle at the same spot. And people start to line up, and I'm like, they're about to storm. But the issue is, you don't know how crazy it is until you're actually seeing it happen. People are running you over.
Moving, it's wild down there.
It's really wild. And so you learn from that. And this year when we beat Miami, after Cam Ward got stripped, oh my God, I was running up and down. And all these freshmen are like, I can stand on the edge. I'm like, no, you can't. Get inside right now. Because people are going to start running all over you. They're going to spill stuff on you. So you have to prepare for that. It's a great experience.
No, yeah, just being on the field, because even though I wasn't even in the pass, but all the fans hype, dabbing you, everybody's hype, everybody. It's just a feeling of excitement, just a feeling of happiness that honestly, and like the Miami game this year, that one was wild, man. That one was wild. So that's why we got to start preaching for more fans to come, and hopefully it comes with Georgia Tech winning more games, but. That makes everything so much more different. When we actually do have the fans, and I know we try to do a bunch of different things. Do you remember after kickoffs we would start high-fiving the fans and stuff like that? Because that is something that we want a lot. Coach Keith did the thing at the SAE house, the fans.
I saw that,
yeah. Because we want fans there a lot. We want fans involved as much as possible. And I'm just glad that the fans of Georgia Tech made that both of those experiences fun too. The storm of the field.
Well, and you brought that up, going to the SAE house and stuff, and I think it's really important that, and there's a lot of college programs that don't do this, it's really important, I think, that you need to form a connection with the school you're at. You can't just be a football team on your own in your own world. You have to be a part of the community. You have to, because then it means so much more when you're going out and you're playing, and it's third down, and you need a clutch stop. You're not just saying, well, I want to do this for me. Yep. I want to do this for everybody else.
Yep.
That's when you play harder, right? I don't need to play football to tell you this. You know this. It's crazy a lot because I never played football. I mean, look at me. There's no chance I play football. But the thing is, you learn just watching the game. You can learn I've been over 100 games in my life. You can learn so much about a team from how they play, how they act off the field as well. Players going to class and stuff. Other schools don't do that. No. So here they go to class, sitting in lab. That's good. You need to build that. You need to know what it's like to be a student here. You need to feel involved, and I think that's great. And that you saw that in the UNC game. I think you saw that. It was months of hard work, years of hard work paying off for that moment, and that changed everything. People are like, oh, it's just one game you show on the field. It changed everything. We struggled. People don't remember this. We struggled at home until that game. We could not win games at home. Including that game.
Seriously,
going through this year, 8-1. We're 8-1 in our last night, and the one loss is by 8 to Georgia, which is fine. You know what? As much as I hate it, that was a good game. I'll leave it be. That's 8-1 at home.
So
we were able to run. Yeah, and I think until that point, we had not really been able to run the ball. We didn't have an identity. We didn't have an identity. It was, we'll play tech football. Sure, some wacky thing happened in Miami. They can take a knee. I'm always going to make fun of them for that. But we never had a true identity. That night, when we ran for 250 in the fourth quarter with Dante Smith, okay?
We had 500 total yards.
Exactly. That changed everything. We had an identity. It was run the damn ball. The next week, we go to Virginia, 45-17. We ran for 300-something yards. We played UNC this year. We ran for 371. Well, on Miami's number 3 ranked rush defense, we rushed for 271. So our identity, we have it now, and it's running the ball. And it's all because of that one win, that one play that Amari or KJ made to knock the ball out. It's all because of that one play. So it's crazy to see over time, how things change. And I'm really happy to be. I'm not with the team, of course, but we have a good culture in band as well. We have 300 people, man. We have 350 people. So we have finally, I can say we have a really good culture. Everybody's bought into the same ideals. We want to work hard. We want to embrace the fact that you go to school at Georgia Tech while you're doing something that takes up. People ask, do you get paid for the basketball? Because I just worked a basketball game. Yesterday I had to play it. Oh, you get paid for that, right? No, you don't get paid. You do it because you love to do it, right? That's how college football used to be. You didn't get paid for stuff. You do it because you loved it. And so it's that kind of thing. There's a lot of parallels that you can draw. And so, I think that's going to show next year. I think a lot of people are just going to say, well, it's Georgia Tech. they're going to learn that this is not the same team. I think they learned in Athens, all right?
Yeah.
We didn't win that game, but they learned a lot. That's the first time in my life, when we were up 17-0 at halftime, the exits were packed because fans were heading out in Athens.
Crazy.
So we're here. We're here to show you.
Everybody,
I think Tech is going to be a really fun team to watch. I hope Coach Key coaches the rest of his career here while he retires. I think
he loves Georgia Tech. That is true.
So the question I'll have now is, this is the highest rated recruiting class we've had. Okay, what have you seen from them? Do you think there's potential for growth? Is it living up to the hype?
Well, you got to remember, I'm not.
From what you heard.
Okay, so from what I've heard, it's very optimistic. Just because it kind of goes on along. So AJ Artis, our coach, our strength and conditioning coach, he's had this he kind of built up a history of players coming in undersized and certain. So I won't give certain names, but there are some players that like I've heard are just phenomenal athletes and just look like they aren't ready for college ball yet. And so a ton of players are just because a lot of them are putting up great speed numbers, great weight room numbers. So a lot of people are just excited for once they do get into that college weight room, once AJ does have the transformation, it should be a bright future from this recruiting class. And
you played online too, and you used to play online. So how do you? This is more of a schematic question. How do you like the scheme, the heavy counter?
Okay, so I was actually D-line at Georgia Tech. I came in.
But you played O-line at North Gwinnett. That's right. So how do you like the scheme? Heavy counter, RPO,
Oh, for sure.
It almost seems like it makes you like one of the big knocks. And I'll say this publicly. One of the big knocks of Josh Petty, Harrison Moore was they're undersized. So just watch what they do. We're the outcasts, right? That's who we are. But it seems like he's playing it well into a system of, the RPOs, being creative with motions. How do you like the offensive scheme that
and I think it goes even further to, making use of the linemen, because you got to think we're also making use of our specific receivers. Like we had a lot of quick, shifty receivers. So what do?
Screen.
A ton of screens. And I like to tell people this all the time. I hope I don't get in trouble for exposing film or whatever, but I really think that we have turned our stretch into our inside zone, and then we have turned our outside zone stretch into screens. And so I think Buster really loves to stretch just because Jamal is so shifty, so quick. He can turn our O-line coach is a very good schematic O-line coach. So with the concept of a typical stretch, it's like it can be an outside zone, but it also can cut back and be the same efficiency as an inside zone. And Jamal is great at that. He's great at the jump cuts. He's great at finding the holes and everything.
If it's one-on-one with him and a defender, all my money's on Jamal. We kept a list in band of all the people ankles he broke.
Yeah,
we
bro.
kept a list.
Dude, him in one-on-one is a scary thing for the other defender. So I really like how we do that. And like I was saying about the screens, like our screens are good. They're quick, solid. And another thing that people don't look into enough, Haynes.
His placement on the screens.
He's in a very elite.
I was like, people don't like, if you look at the Florida State game to open the year, if you throw that screen on his back hip, like Malik on the first drive, if you throw that screen on his back hip, he's going to have to turn it just to make that. It's over. It's done. He throws it in the perfect spot every time.
He allows him to catch it forward. And that's why I think it's almost like a run. It's like a sweep or a
It
toss.
is a run extension.
So, and that allowed, Eric had a ton of receiving yards on that. Malik was a great screen catcher.
There's
Even
a lot
Chase.
of tunnels too.
Yep. So that's what he does. He just allows different. We get to dress up things so much better. He likes to do the motions. He likes to get the tight ends involved, and that just becomes so much more. It looks like a screen. It looks like a run and beat. And I really think Buster was a great offensive coordinator.
Oh no, hands down. There's a lot of people who will say that I didn't like his play. Of course, when you lose your play, I'm like, you don't understand what's happening here. It's beautiful. What he's doing is he's a top 10 OC in the game. I mean, there's a reason Georgia wants him bad.
And then Coach Santucci. Actually, he's the coach at the Ravens now.
Yeah.
But this fall camp, and I would tell people all the time, it was literally iron, sharpening iron. Because Coach Santucci, I think he had the best blitz packages. When he really dialed up a third down blitz, it almost worked.
He would send. It was either Lamals or Tay on safety blitz.
Yeah, he loved his safety blitz. Yeah, he loved it, and just watching them. Because fall camp got to a point where we're a very physical team. That was kind of like the identity we wanted to set. But so once week 2 got in and we had got used to seeing each other on both sides of the field. The adjustments that they started doing in the window dressing, because like every play, like I said, I think one thing Buster tries to focus on. McVay does this a lot with the Rams. It's like the concept kind of seems the same at the start, and then he'll switch it up. And
you gotta have like tags off it. It's what UConn did last year in basketball. It's just the same type of thing. I think, and Buster does a really good job of using the numbers to his advantage. You think you have an advantage with 5 on or 6 on 5 in the box, and then next thing you know, he motions Jackson Hawes in, and your DN's pancaked on the ground.
Seriously,
because Jackson Hawes is the best blocking tight end.
Hawes needs more credit too. I mean, he got a ton of credit, but y'all don't witness, bro. As a blocker, Hawes was seriously a dog. Like
we loved watching. I mean, you would see him like in the Georgia State game. He was pancaking dudes.
Because he was like a real 265, 270, like huge
and he had great.
Shout out Jackson, bro.
We love he's a great guy too.
Absolutely, for sure.
We went and performed for the team in fall. We performed there's a little like camaraderie thing where we go and play during our band camp and their fall camp or whatever. We go and play, and I'm walking back. I'm a Seahawks fan, so I got a little Seahawks drawstring bag. I'm walking back, and someone comes up to me and is like, "You're a Seahawks fan?" And I look around as Jackson Hawes, and he's like, "I'm a Ravens fan." And I was like, "Yo, that's awesome!" And the whole way from Brock, which is the indoor practice facility, to Bobby Don, we're just talking, talking ball, talking. Because he went to Yale before, right? So talking ball, talking education. Just a great guy. So
absolutely.
I want to see him succeed.
And he's an intelligent guy. I think he lives up to that. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh man.
Yeah.
It's great, man. I'm really excited for this team, for the program, and everything in general. We're doing a great job recruiting the high school ranks here in Georgia. Aaron Philo, Bailey Stockton, 2 out of Prince, and Christian Garrett out of Prince Avenue Christian, all 3. Directly from Athens. Directly from Athens. So I like what's going on. The new defensive coordinator hire, Blake Gideon. So what are your thoughts on the hire? I think it's a good one. What do you think?
I think it's a very good one. I mean, coming from Texas, that obviously he has a little reputability from that. And well, he was the safeties coach there, right?
Yeah. He coached. I think it was Michael Taft.
Yeah, exactly.
Everybody else was good in that secondary.
So I mean, honestly, it's just unfortunate that this is our 4th defensive coordinator. Yeah. So I mean, it's nothing they're not used to. This is be the 4th time learning a new scheme, new playbook, and everything. So that's the main thing I'm worried about. I don't really think it. Because he already is a reputable person, I don't really think it has to be too good of a DC with our team. I think I'm more concerned about, will we be able to quickly adjust to his system like we did? Because with Coach Santucci, that was
a 4-2-5, right?
Yeah.
He's right for okay.
But it's just like when Coach Santucci came in, what people don't know is that was tons of extra film, extra walkthroughs, things like that. Like we had to, because it was a very complex system. It was very good, and to be able to get to the point where we had it down pat, we still didn't really have it fully down pat by the season. Took a lot of work. So I'm curious and I'm intrigued to see how they are able to handle doing that again with yet another defensive coordinator. So but other than that, from what I've seen, I'm confident about the hire. I think the team is good enough to where he's not too reliant. He doesn't have to do some super good defense because I think we're going to score points this year, and I think the special teams area will be addressed too. So I'm interested. That's the only thing I can say.
And the last question: if there was Georgia Tech next year, if there was one thing that could decide, if you were to say, if we do this one thing right, we're winning the ACC. What is that one thing?
I think I'm gonna put it in the hands of one person.
Ooh.
I think Haynes has to have a better season than he did last year, and because here's the thing, Haynes has shown that he's like the world knows.
He's here.
He is a serious quarterback, and I think Haynes at his best because he's very disciplined. He's very eager to get better. And obviously he wasn't really healthy last year. Like people, that's another thing. I don't want even going to get to it too long. But Haynes played that Georgia game hurt.
No, I know that.
The game before, Philo was throwing because we didn't want Haynes throwing. So we didn't even know Haynes.
People saying, he had 11 touchdown passes. Yeah, because he was dead half the year.
Yeah, seriously.
What kind of argument is that? And he still had even with those, he still had the 9th best QB in the country.
And that's what I'm saying. I think he has that potential to be a Heisman guy, and I think he can really, I think he can carry the team because. the supporting pieces are around him. The supporting pieces are around him. I think if he really wants to take that leap, he can, and that would consequently help Georgia Tech take the lead. So yeah, I'm putting Haynes. If you watching it, bro, you got big pressure, but I'm putting the pressure on you because I know how you are as a guy, and I know that what you can do. So there you go.
And I know you're gonna get it done, Haynes. I know you're gonna get it done. I have faith in this program, man.
For sure. Well, it's been a great episode. We talked about a ton of good information and good content. I'm excited to put out. Make sure y'all go ahead and follow him, and make sure y'all subscribe to the channel if you enjoyed this. Like, comment, subscribe, all platforms, all such. Any other final closing remarks?
No, I don't got anything. Georgia high school football is the best in the country, and go Jackets to hell with Georgia.
Yes, sir, man. Well, y'all be nice. Y'all have a nice one. As always, be good, be blessed. Peace. Great episode, man.
Yes, sir, man.
How long was it? 55? That's not it. I thought